Hey, it's Menz here. Gonna do a quick little review of the new Tier 6 French premium medium tank, the Bretagne Panther. Pretty much, I guess it translates to Brittany Panther in French. In any event, this is a tank. It's actually a tank. It's going to be at Tankfest this year, which is just starting. Basically, it's going to be for sale on the European server as of, I guess, today, as you can see. Once the kind of embargo lifts and kind of coinciding with Tankfest, you can pick up the tank. It's a tier 6, down tiered Panther 1 tank, essentially. Very similar to the Pudel. And, more or less, most likely it's going to come to other servers at a slightly later date, from my understanding. But currently, right now, it's available on the EU server. So, is this tank actually worth picking up? I'm gonna hop into a quick battle after this, but honestly, focusing mainly on, like, is this the same as the Pudel? Is it basically a Panther down tiered? Kind of, yes. 99%, about the same. In any event, quick little breakdown. When it comes to crew training, since people do that with premium tanks, it's pretty useful for French tanks. Honestly, the crew is pretty large to where it's going to work with French medium tanks, and you might have extra crew slots to where you won't be able to kind of just throw in, say, going into like a French medium here that's not tier 6. If you look at, say, like the Batchat, AMX30, etc., this has extra crew members, which I assume good thing for most. However, it's just something to note to where you might have to find like a radio man or something. In any event, quick little breakdown comparison here. So I have the Bretagne Panther. I should just call it the Brittany Panther. There's the Pudel VK3002M, threw it in there for comparison sakes, and also I threw in this Panther here, tier 7 in the tech tree. What I did to it, much like the Pudel and this one, they're slightly different models, different versions of the Panther, but basically you're just getting a stock version. I didn't really change the radio at all, but you're just getting a stock tier 7 Panther, down tiered, and at the same time you lose quite a bit of hit points. Now these 100% crew has the same equipment, optics, rammer, vents. What you're looking at, 135 damage per shot, pretty decent pen for a tier 6. The Panther fast firing, pretty accurate, pretty decent pen, to where nothing really to complain about the gun wise. Like most people already know about the Pudel, obviously the Panther in the tech tree, to where you have really good accuracy, good aiming time, good DPM, decent gun depression. The gun's just, the only thing it lacks in is basically alpha. That's the only thing you're really going to be wanting more of. But tier 6, it's honestly perfectly fine. Being down tiered down to tier 6 is pretty nice for the Panther, whereas at tier 7, you start lacking in some other areas. Hit point wise, 840, the same as the Pudel, same as the VK32M. It's just standard for pretty much a tier 8 medium. Whole armor, as you can see, is a little bit different than the Pudel here, and also the other tech tree Panther, just because it's a slightly different model of the Panther. Turret armor listed the same values. More or less though, the armor actually works decent at tier 6. Tier 7s and 8s will be able to go through you. Tier 6, lower, can actually bounce off you a pretty decent amount, especially if they don't use premium ammo, or they're like a TD or something. So that's a nice little feature of this if you haven't played the Pudel before. When it comes to specific power, you're a little bit slower. I didn't really look at the traverse like terrain resistance. I'm assuming that they're very similar to like the Pudel, to where it's just a pinch slower, nothing too crazy they make a big fuss about. That's the first kind of area where you see it is a little bit worse than the Pudel though. And when it comes down to concealment, it's also a little bit worse concealment wise than the Pudel, which is a little bit strange, but again, they're slightly different models. In any event, just pointing out the main difference that I saw. So just setting up here, I just want to make sure I'm kind of straight on here. Using the armor mod here in the game. You know, pretty decent effective armor. Again, you're not going to bounce a ton of stuff, but you can get lucky bounces for being a medium tank at tier 6 sometimes. You know, you scroll down basically across the front. Yeah, the armor's, it's okay. It's a medium tank. Lower glacis is effectively very similar to the upper glacis. Now, if you swap over to the Pudel tank here, if I can find it. Oh man, I had a long day. Oh man. All right, let's just pop into the Pudel. Make sure I'm just kind of straight onto the gun. The models aren't 100% the same, as you can see. As you know, kind of same armor. However, dropping down to the lower plate, you can see the lower plate is significantly weaker. So basically, that's the main difference I saw between these two tanks. Outside of, also, if you note, the whole armor 50 millimeters on the side of, you know, the Pudel, and then if you swap over, oh man, why did it swap over to here? So Pudel, you know, 50 millimeters, and then the Bretagne Panther 40 millimeters. So you have slightly better lower glacis armor, worse side armor. Pudel, you know, worse lower glacis armor, better side armor. You know, pretty much that's the main difference I saw as far as the actual tanks and, you know, basically the armor scheme and stuff. And, you know, more or less, is this tank worth it? It's pop into a battle here. You know, most people know how the Panther kind of plays, but let's see how this goes. Let's swap over here, kick the dog out of the screen. He's not being useful here. Don't tell him that. But, you know, first off, you know, some people were like, oh, why won't Wargaming release, you know, this tank across all the servers? You know, more or less it's just because Tankfest is a very European kind of event. That's why I'm assuming, you know, they're releasing it on the EU server, and then, you know, the other servers will come kind of at a later date, most likely. But, you know, tanks like this, like if you kind of have been paying attention, a lot of like the recent premium tanks, and they have a lot kind of in the queue. Like it seems like they have like a prototype Black Prince coming up as well at some point. Like who knows when? It's kind of in super test, but you know, there's a lot of these tanks to where they're kind of down tiering a couple tech tree tanks, to where they kind of work out better in the tier that they're down tiering them to, and they're perfectly balanced. Just looking at the stats, like this tank's pretty balanced, and also the Pudel, to where they're not overpowered or anything like that. But you know, I kind of like them releasing tanks like this. It's not like, oh my god, this thing's the craziest, most unique, overpowered thing ever. Gotta get it, or else, you know, we're gonna be completely screwed. I'd rather have like a, you know, special skin, you know, a different tank, just a premium tank, and, you know, not really having to buy the tank just because of its performance. Like, might not sound like the best, I guess, sales model, especially from Wargaming's end, but yeah, I kind of like this way that they kind of go about things when they release tanks like this, because, which I am being focused by a left here, oh god. You know, I think it's a lot better, especially when it comes to game balance, rather than pumping out, you know, overpowered premium tanks. I'm probably going to get screwed pushing here. I know this is a bad idea, but we're going for it. I have been working in 100+ degree kitchen the entire day. Guess let's go for it. Oh lord, being hit up by all kinds of things that way too. Holy crap. Yeah, such a good battle here. Don't buy this, guys. It sucks. You get shot by a bathtub, the S-35CA, across the entire map. Oh lord. Yeah, I'm about to probably die. Armor, save me! Oh lord, it listened. And I'm dead from arting. Wonderful. Anyway, I got myself into that. I wanted to keep this kind of short and sweet. You know, kind of looking at the time here. You know, this is what you're going to expect, honestly, from Mountain Pass. Pushing down to where I did. This tank, though, it's a solid pick. To where, like I was talking about, I wish Wargaming would do more of this. You know, they've been doing a decent job at, you know, at least very recently, not releasing kind of broken tanks, just releasing different versions and like premium versions of different tanks. And I like it, to where, you know, I'm perfectly fine with them pumping premium tanks out like this instead of things like, you know, the LT432 and like other tanks that are just, you know, pretty darn good compared to like the tech tree versions, or, you know, their counterparts like Defender, stuff like that. But, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, numbers don't really lie. Comparison here, you're just buying a tier 7 Panther that, you know, is basically at tier 6, much like the Pudel. Slightly different armor in the front, you know, comparing the Brittany Panther to the Pudel. Hopefully the Brittany Panther is a correct translation here, and I'm not going to get yelled at in the YouTube comments. But for the most part, though, you know, this is going to be a decent pickup for people who like these kind of tanks, you know, Panthers. And being a French version, it's a good crew trainer. It's something different. You know, it looks cool as far as like the camo and everything to wear. Plus, you know, it's a new tank, or not a new tank. It's an actual, you know, tank that's going to be driving around Tankfest this year. So, in any event, you know, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully it kind of helped you out. Like I said, I wanted to keep it short and sweet because it's not like this thing is, you know, some sort of Panther with like mechanical legs that walks across the battlefield or something. Just something weird. It's something that we know, just a different little skin on it. But thanks again for watching. See you guys around. Have a good one.